Social responsibility theory allows free press without any censorship, but at the same time, the content of the press should be discussed in public panel, and media should accept any obligation from public interference or professional self-regulation or both. The theory lies between both authoritarian theory and libertarian theory because it gives total media freedom in one hand, but the external controls in the other hand. Here, the press ownership is private. The social responsibility theory moves beyond the simple objection reporting, which is facts reporting, to interpretive reporting, which is investigative reporting. The total news is a complete facts and truthful, but the Commission of the Freedom Press stated that no longer given facts truthfully rather than give a necessary, analyzed, or interpretive report on fact with clear explanation. The theory helped in creating professionalism in media by setting up a higher level of accuracy, truth, and information. The Commission of Press Council also included some tasks based on social responsibility of media, which are the following. Number one, formulate the code of conduct of the press. 2. Improve the standard of journalism. 3. Safeguarding the interests of journalism and journalists. 4. Criticize and make some penalty for violating the code of conduct. The theory allows 5 main things. 1. Everyone to say something or express their opinion about the media. Number 2. Community opinion, consumer action and professional ethics. 3. Serious invasion of recognized private rights and vital social interests. 4. Private ownership in media may give better public service unless government has to take over to assure the public to provide better media service. Number 5. Media must take care of social responsibility, and if they do not, government or other organization will do. One example of a country that practices the social responsibility theory is the United States of America. The United States of America has a Bill of Rights that states that the Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or the press. This bill entitles the media to freedom, at the same time put across a trust the Congress has for the media to be responsible for its freedom. Such trust encourages the media to be responsible for the information it publishes. Some other countries that has a social responsible media system include France, Germany, and Japan.
The authoritarian theory in mass communication. So when was it implemented? It was originated from the philosophy of Plato. It was first used by the English monarchs when the printing press was invented by censoring, licensing, taxation, and making laws. What are its characteristics? Basically, it's a theory where mass media is influenced and overpowered by power and authority in the nations. The nation didn't directly control its activity, but the media had to respect what the authorities wanted and work for their benefits. Now, where was it implemented? It was implemented and used by the dictatorship governments, and among these kind of governments, the media cannot offend or go against the majority or dominant groups. But, surprisingly, it was also used by democratic governments for the purpose to preserve social order and harmony. Kings used this approach in the past by granting royal charters and licenses, as well as the whole part of Western Europe, which uses this approach to control the middle class from starting a revolution after printing press was started. Germany and Italy were also following it before the Second War under Hitler's dictatorship, and Taliban government practiced authoritarian media approach in Afghanistan. Now, let us discuss what kind of media has the right to apply its activities under such theory. The press is permitted under such theory, but it has the right to publish only if its content is meant to empower the rulers. The government chooses to give the license to the media that best suits their policy and simply prohibits others from publishing, and if the media that is given the license does not apply by the rules of the government, journalists are harmed, their rights are taken away from them, as well as their license. What kind of issues cannot be treated under such theory? Basically, all sensitive issues such as religion, politics, military issues, and governmental decisions. All of these topics are censored and or simply not published. However, the theory does not encourage homogeneous and national culture like totalitarianism, a political concept of a mode of government that prohibits opposition parties. What are the strengths of this approach? It was believed that it has benefits such as a better resolution of social and cultural conflicts. It motivates citizens to work for the country and to improve it, and it prevents media from acting improperly. Now, what are its weaknesses? Common people are easily manipulated. No freedom of speech and expression under such theory. The government is not controlled and so can implement whatever laws that best benefits them. And we cannot talk about citizenship and citizens under such theory. Today, there are still several countries who follow authoritarianism in media, which are Israel, Bahrain, Qatar, Syria, Uzbekistan, Belarus, Zimbabwe, China, North Korea, Iran, and a couple of other countries. The Soviet media theory, also famous by the communist theory, is based on Leninist theory, which is grounded on Karl Marx and Engels' ideology. Newspaper, magazines, and journals were under strict control of the Communist Party and the Soviet state. Moreover, the Soviet media theory puts an end to the private ownership of the press and other media. Therefore, the media under the Soviet theory is totally under the control of the government. Any source of that media will be controlled by the government, and the government will post the content that will be in their favor. Russia is one of the most important and convenient examples that follow the Soviet media theory. In 2015, Freedom House Freedom of the Press had reported that Russia scored number 83 of 100 countries being worst at the freedom of speech and the freedom of media. This was because of the new laws introduced in 2014 that further extended the state control over mass media. The government applications of law, bureaucratic regulations, and politically motivated criminal investigation have forced the press to exercise self-censorship, constraining media coverage. Thus, all type of media in Russia is extremely under the control of the government, which follows typically the Soviet media theory.
Liberalism, political philosophy that takes individual liberty to the primary political value. It may be understood as a form of liberalism, the political philosophy associated with English philosopher John Locke and John Stuart Mill, the Scottish economist Adam Smith, and the American statesman Thomas Jefferson. Liberalism seeks to define and justify the legitimate powers of the government in terms of certain natural or God-given individual rights. These rights include the right to life, liberty, private property, freedom of speech and association, freedom of worship, government by consent, equality under the law, and moral autonomy. The purpose of the government, according to liberals, is to protect these and other individual rights, and in general have contended that government power should be limited to that which is necessary to accomplish these tasks. Libertarians are classical liberals who strongly emphasize the individual right to liberty. They contend that the scope and powers of the government should be constrained so as to allow each individual as much freedom of action as is consistent with a like freedom for everyone else. Thus, they believe that individuals should be free to behave and dispose of their property as they see fit, provided that their actions do not infringe on the equal freedom of others. As indicated by libertarians, free markets are among the most essential instances of unconstrained request. They contend that people need to deliver and exchange requests to endure and thrive, and that the free markets are fundamental to the making of riches. Libertarians additionally keep up that the self-improvement common guide, philanthropy, and financial development accomplish more to mitigate neediness than government social welfare programs. At last, they fight that if the Libertarian Convention frequently appears to pressure private property and free markets to the detriment of different standards, that is to a great extent on the grounds that these foundations were enduring on an onslaught for a significant part of the 20th century by current descendants, social democrats, fundamentalists, and disciples of other radical, patriot, or communist belief systems. Hong Kong has an impressive reputation for economic freedom and classical liberal virtues.